Hi everyone, I'm Eralia, and welcome back into the Eralia Show, a space where gamers touch grass offline and connect over real topics, sometimes versed in gaming and media culture, other times completely unrelated. Sometimes we're going to laugh, other times we're going to cry, but overall we're going to have a great time. First and foremost, I wanted to thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this community and for taking time out of your day to hang out with me on the internet. That is pretty cool. I really appreciate all of you being here, whether you found me through my gaming content or my new movie reaction content, or someone recommended this to you, perhaps who is a gamer or even a non gamer and just wants to get to know you better and recommend some content that they found rewarding in some sense. So, thank you all for joining me today. It has been a couple of months since I sat down to talk with you all on the Aurelia Show. I genuinely didn't really have a lot of creative creativity, I guess, creative inspiration to sit down and talk about over a podcast episode. The whole intent behind this show was really just to host a space for myself to exist, not reacting to anything, not playing a game, not being distracted by anything, just genuinely being myself and getting to know you all better as you all get to know me a little bit better. And I didn't really have any topics that spoke to me, but recently I've really been thinking about the art of reinventing yourself. And I think that's a good one to mention, especially with the holidays and with the new year and New Year's resolutions. And every single year, you have this new opportunity, even though time's not real. Time's just a basic construct, it's not really real. But we have this internal desire, or I guess a lot of people do, to do something new or to set a new goal for themselves going into the new year. And something that I recently did in these last couple of months was I started reacting to movie content. And this isn't really reinventing myself in the Eralia space, right? This isn't really completely pivoting 180 and, turning wrenches on my channel. This is going from playing video games to watching movies, which is kind of a parallel turn, but it was still a scary one to make nonetheless because it was unfamiliar to me. I haven't seen a lot of movies before. It's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. Still in the comfort zone of being vulnerable with a camera pointing at me, but also I haven't seen a lot of movies and I wasn't sure how it would go, but I had faith in myself and in the community and connecting with these stories, and I've really been enjoying the process. So, this is me sitting down and just talking to you all a little bit about that process with me and maybe inspiring some of you all who feel like you've been just this one version of yourself for a while, or you've been in a rut, or maybe you just want a little bit of a push to try something new. So, I think that where I'll begin with this topic is well before, long ago, before I even really started the whole YouTube thing, when I was a mere Eralia ling, a mere spawn of myself, and I was even like remotely considering the internet. Okay, a lot of times we see ourselves as boxed, and we don't even realize that these self-induced boxes exist. We day to day exist as a role. And in this time, before I existed as the role of a YouTuber or an online persona, I was just me and I was a student. Okay, or some of you or yourselves may see yourselves right now as a spouse, a parent, as an employee or a worker, or insert whatever, as I'm saying this, whatever label rings a bell for you as who you see yourself as. And a lot of times when we put ourselves in that role or in that box, we don't really see a world in which we can branch out of that box, if that makes sense. So, for instance, if I use the example of being an employee and day to day, you wake up, you maybe go to the gym, you go to work, you come home, you make food. This is just a mundane example of what my life would be like if I didn't start seeing myself in 5D, by seeing myself in 4D instead of, 3D. But that's just it. I'm an employee, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter. But I guess the idea here is if you have this internal drive where you feel like you want more for yourself than just that than just that, if you're completely content with the way your life is going, then I am happy that you're here and that you're listening to me yap. But I guess this is just more of a hypothetical discussion of if you did maybe want more for yourself, how would that look like? And so where I started was I realized at the time I was a high school student and Twitch had just come online, and I realized that I liked spending time on the internet. I liked playing video games, and my day to day was just going to high school. And I didn't think that that would be it for me. And naturally, for myself, I always called myself a hobbyist, a serial hobbyist, as it were. I was always writing little books or learning to draw or taking up a new musical instrument. I was constantly bouncing around the walls, picking up new things to explore. And so I realized that none of those things would make me into Da Vinci, for instance. I don't know, Michelangelo. I wasn't going to randomly become an artist or become a musician or insert whatever label here. But I did realize I wanted to just do more than just be a student. And so I started playing video games on the internet as a way to connect and find community, and then on the side, I guess it made me feel more fulfilled as well, and it made me feel value, not because other people were watching me and I was necessarily basing my value on that number or anything that came from that number. It was never the viewers or the money or anything like that. It just became a space where I realized where people actually wanted to spend time with me, and that internally made me a Twitch streamer. That's the definition. I began to stream on Twitch. A couple people were watching, and therefore I became a Twitch streamer. So where I'm getting at with this is same with YouTube. I started, essentially a little bit from scratch. I had already been streaming on Twitch a bit, but I realized that I wanted something that was a little bit more flexible to my own regime, to my own regimen, my daily routine. And with the military thing, it's kind of hard to have a standard Twitch schedule. And so I decided, fuck it, we're just gonna put something out there and see how it does. And it blew me away. It blew me away. This community did. How many people connected with the Last of Us and The Walking Dead, which were my first 2 YouTube series. It was absolutely amazing to see the amount of people that wanted to connect over those stories particularly, and then they stayed for who I was as a person. And then, magically, I became a YouTuber. Granted, that's a very, 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 like, blessed example. I'm very grateful for all of you for being here, but even at a small level, if you are if you even have a thought about doing something, my encouragement would be to just do it, all right? Obviously, this is seemingly a lot easier to do if you have resources and you already have a community, or if you have a lot of time and whatever, insert. It's a lot easier for people who, whatever, insert the blank there on whatever excuse you want to use for why it's harder for yourself than for others. But for the YouTube example, you need internet, you need a recording thing. I was gonna say a computer, but really people can use their phones to make YouTube videos or Instagram reels or whatever. You just need to see yourself as that person. Um, and another example of this would be influencers who start recording themselves like cooking. I I wouldn't consider myself a chef, but I can go from not being able to cook, and you could say, "Oh, I just don't know how to do that. I just Uber Eats. I just make chicken." But if you have like this intrinsic desire to learn to do something and break that mold, then why not just try it and learn? If you label yourself as constantly like someone who, "Oh, I'm just not athletic," and you just speak that into existence and into the world, or, "Oh, I'm just not an influencer," or, "Oh, I'm not a chef," or, "Oh, I'm not an artist," but then you never try to draw, even if you suck at it, you're never going to become that thing. And once again, I will reiterate, if you're comfortable exactly where you're at and you don't see yourself and you don't read a lot of books and wish you could write one, and you don't look at a lot of art and wish you could paint, then that's totally fine. But if you do see yourself as someone who wants to just keep growing and keep achieving different side quests, um, hopefully this is a little bit of a light for that. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee as we continue. So another couple examples from my own life. Obviously, like I said, you could use influencers for this. or rich people and famous people who reinvent themselves constantly. Take a Selena Gomez, for instance. At one point, she wasn't an actress, but then she became a famous one. And then she branched out and developed a cooking, what is it, like a cooking thing? She started making pots and pans. I don't know. Who knows? No one would have ever been like, oh, yeah, Selena Gomez, the one who makes pots and pans, okay? Or a makeup line. Resources, time, finances, sure. But from a basic level, if we take it from that and like, let's not even get started on Dwayne The Rock Johnson and his 10 times reinvention of himself over and over again. And we go right back to the ant farm where I live, Little Eralia. Another thing that I wanted to embark on was when I was in my running era, when I would call myself a runner. Right now, I wouldn't actively throw that label on myself because I have not run in years. But there was a period in college where I took a break from the whole um, online content creator thing, and I just really hated running. Honestly, I did this one in spite of myself to prove something to myself. Running. I always hated it. What's the oh, chocolate. Chocolate. I always hated it. That's me with running. Did not see a world in which I would actually enjoy that. But then I realized that I really needed to get in shape for my fitness test for the military. And I hated that the test would just kick my ass constantly because I was just not a cardiocentric person. And so I just decided that I was going to become a runner. This is a crazy example because I went from a 0 miles person to someone who started a lot of walking, and then someone who started a couple miles here and there, and then I became a marathon runner. And this was over the course of maybe 2 or 3 years. I really went balls to the wall with this idea, and at first I still would people would be like, "Oh, wow, that's so crazy. Like you're such a runner." And I would always the first thing I would tell them is, "No, no, no, I'm not. I'm not a runner. I'm not. I force myself to do this." But then there just became a point after I had run some 5Ks and then I ran half marathons, and you don't have to run half marathons to be a runner, okay? This was just me being extra hard on myself because going back to the original point of people put themselves in these boxes and labels where sometimes you don't even realize it. And, oh no, I'm not a chef. I could never do that. Oh, I'm not an artist. I could never do that. This was me to myself telling people in the extrinsic world around me that, oh, no, I'm not a runner. I just run. What is that? What is that? Oh, I'm not a gamer. I just play games sometimes after work. What is that? Why do we do that to ourselves? Okay. I, as soon as you break out of that mold for yourself and realize that you can become whatever you want to be at whatever resources or free time level that you have, and you can take advantage of that and make the most out of it because it's your own life in your own time. That is such a magical and beautiful and freeing thing. It is such a magical world to live in when you see it as Play-Doh and you're the sculptor and it is just your clay and you can make anything of yourself. It is such a magical world. I really would love to just keep yapping about the content creation example because it's something that's so near and dear to me that I've experienced a lot with in terms of growth and self acceptance in this realm because I started as someone who was, oh no, I'm just a Twitch streamer. I couldn't be a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. I just stream on Twitch sometimes. It's just a part-time thing. I'm a military member. That's what I do. It's my full-time job. And then I was like, wait, people actually kind of watch me. Maybe I am a YouTuber. And then I was like, I don't really have time for playing video games right now. I don't have the mental capacity. We're going to start watching movies. Oh, wait, now I'm a movie reactor. And then I was like, fuck it. I like podcasts. I love listening to podcasts. I love having a sense of friendship and connection and just like motivation and just listening to all these like empowered people yap at me. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just pardon the multiple. Well, fuck it. I guess it's what the kind of episode this is. Examples, but that's what I decided. I was like, I admire these people so much. Why don't I just become one of them? And I still struggle with that. Guess imposter syndrome slash maybe I wouldn't even call it that because it's not like I'm, some crazy. Eralia Rogan of podcasters, but dang it, I'm in this space and I'm talking to you all and hoping to connect with all of you over a microphone on the internet. And therefore, I guess A plus B equals C. I'm a podcaster, and that's it. And people ask me in my real life, oh, oh, you said you're, and I actually don't mention this often. So sometimes when it actually does come up that I'm a YouTuber, people are like, oh, haha, that's so interesting. Really? And then I pull up my channel and they're like, "Holy crap-a-noli," because it's just such a random thing if you who know who I am in real life, it's just such a random thing. And so now I'm like, "Oh, yeah, what kind of stuff do you do on the internet?" And I just say, "Oh, well, I was a gamer, and then now also a movie reactor, and I have a podcast." And we're just gonna keep adding to that list. I'm gonna see just how many shenanigans we can get up to in the Aurelia show, and that's really what I want to live by as well. I don't wanna just be talking about all of this to you all and be like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna do it, but hopefully you guys will." I genuinely want to embody that and show you that you can, you just can be whatever kind of person and label yourself as whatever you wanna label yourself as, you just have to live it. Would I have called myself a runner if I just went for a couple of runs? No. No, I would not have. But, um by genuinely starting to put my word on it and behave in a sense of the way a runner would behave and live and practice 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 how you preach. What is it? Practice what you preach, I guess, is what I'm trying to say with all of this. Another example is in the last couple years I just love doing things to prove myself wrong. I think is my real is my real motivation here. I started taking dance classes because I grew up just thinking that I was really like stiff as a board essentially. I was never comfortable dancing. I loved like theater stuff as in the singing, and I guess that was really it. The singing, and I liked playing instruments, but I always felt super rigid and like I just couldn't dance. And so I decided that I wanted to just take lessons and get better at it. And it was super daunting and it was super difficult to start because I still felt like I was just not that person. But after continued practice, continued repetition, practice on my own time, I ended up getting like some like dance supplies, to carry in my little bag. After 6 months to a year, I felt like I was a dancer. I danced. I still don't think I'm a dancer, I'll clarify on that one. Not exactly, but I definitely felt more like a dancer than I did at the start. And there's no reason as to why, especially with the internet at our fingertips, we shouldn't at least try to embark on side quests for ourselves to become more well-rounded people. The reason I say that is I recently encountered a coworker, and this isn't a unique experience. Maybe this is someone close to you, or maybe this is yourself. You see yourself in this anecdote. But I really was inspired to host this episode today and see what you guys have to say about this topic because the coworker that I met was like a 20-year worker, okay? A 20 plus year careerist, only ever knew flying, and that was it, okay? So he's coming up on retirement and in the next, short bit here. And I asked him, because I asked people this because I have a very, and I guess I'm very blessed to have a very, what's the word? A very fruitful, a very colorful free time. Life outside of work. So I always ask people, I'm just like, hey, Larry Bob, insert name. What do you like to do for fun? What do you like to do outside of work? Obviously, we're at work together, so I know what you do for work, but getting to know you as a person, what do you like to do? And this Larry Bob character basically said, wow, I actually have really been struggling with that question myself because I have only ever known my career world for the last 20 years and now I'm on my retire upon my retirement and I have no idea what to do with myself. I never took any time to develop any hobbies or know who I am outside of the military. And I that's why I'm trying to draw attention to this topic so genuinely right now because I want people to start thinking about that, including myself, people to start thinking about who they are when it comes down to it. You're not just your job. You're not just your relationship status. You're not just XYZ, your education. There can be so much more to what builds into you as a person. And so he said, I'm discovering who I am for the first time. I guess I go to the gym, but that's expected because I want to stay in shape. I like to cook, but it's mostly to stay alive. None of these things. Oh, and then he said, I also like to go outside and go hiking with my wife. And we like to go on trips that revolve around hiking, but none of these things really feel like they're what make me me because all of them are part of what makes me like a human. Getting sunlight, getting food, and like getting exercise. And so, what do you do? What do you do? I We just had a nice little chat session, and every time I saw him since then, we just talk a little bit more on the matter. But it's hard to really dig deep and think, was there ever a point in which you wanted to pick up an instrument or join a communal team for a sport or something or coach a sport or something? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to determine where to start with someone when they have no idea. They have no idea. Um who they are internally. And that's not really a question for me to solve or for you to solve for anyone, but it is something to take note of and to maybe just explore. And I think that a lot of these things start kind of mending together, and that's why the internet has become such a nice, I mean, they didn't start that way. There's a lot of freaks on the internet and not very nice people, but there are a lot of nice people who just yearn for a sense of community, much like the people in this community as well. But by knowing who you are and knowing where your interests lie, you can find different groups and pockets of spaces in which you can feel connected to other people who also enjoy the same things. For the example, for me, I'll join a space wherever. I'll be like, "Oh, the reading club, I'm in. Oh, an athletic like lifting club, oh, I'm in. Content creation, I love to rack and stack my list of side quests. But if you're genuinely someone who is like my coworker Larry Bob, who is just figuring himself out after a really long and successful career, it's not something to scoff at. But when you sit down at the end of the day and you think, "What did I do for myself?" Where do you even begin? So at the root of it, if you think, okay, maybe I like hiking, maybe I can join a hiking club locally or something like that. A lot of times those things are free, accessible. You're not Selena Gomez. You don't have to be Hailey Bieber. That's a whole nother thing, but Hailey Bieber pretty much copied Selena Gomez and started her own cooking thing and then her own skincare line. But I digress. You're not these rich, affluent people, but you're starting at your own. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. Listen, I don't know who listens. You could be anyone, okay? But if you can start at the smallest level of expanding and then who are you? I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a hiking guy. It's what I do. Um yeah, you're allowed to take part in things you enjoy. And this isn't to say that all of those things that you start doing, you have to like go crazy balls to the wall in. And just because you enjoy reading books, then you have to read a book a week or, a certain amount of books a month in order to qualify for the bookworm club. You're also allowed to slow down and, maybe you only read one book a month because that's all you have time for, if that, or you only go on one hike a month. But as long as you don't lose those things and you think, I really wanted to get into reading someday, but I just never found the time for it. And then you look back and we time is our most precious resource. You look back and you think, wow, I never really jumped on that train and now I feel like it's too late. And if you're right there, that's right now, you're at that station where you feel like, oh, I looked back, I really wanted to learn to cook someday, or I really wanted to learn to insert I wanted to start a startup business or whatever. It's I want to drop some facts. It's probably probably still not too late. Most things you can do at any point in your life if you just put your mind to it. Our health and our time are pretty much our two most valuable assets in this world because they're the only things that you can't really quote unquote get back. Okay, they're our two most valuable assets. And so if right now you're having a pinging in your mind about a thought about something that you want to go do and you think, maybe in the next life, maybe insert excuse, unacceptable. Unacceptable. Time is only going to continue to pass. You're not going to have more of it. Health is only going to continue to pass. You're not going to have more of that. So, as soon as you have these instincts, you are just built, we are also magical, and you are built for so much more than what you're settling for. That I truly, genuinely believe you should listen to that light and follow it. Follow it to whatever extent you can with the resources and community that you have available for yourself. Start as small as you want or as big as you want as well when it comes to this little goal or ambition of yours. And let myself serve as an example that it is never too late to reinvent yourself. I do have a military career going for me. This is what I have set my life up for essentially. I work full time. I have that entire life to myself. I am myself in all the spaces, not to say that I am a different person in all the realms that I exist in. I'm still me. It's still Aurelia, but there's just my career, but then outside of that, I decided to hang out with you all on YouTube, and you guys decided to hang out with me. That was a cool mutual exchange. So I'm a YouTuber, and now I just wanted to talk with you all and host a wonderful podcast space where we can actually explore these topics that people don't talk about on a daily basis, especially as someone who just engages with people in real life because I think that people really want that sense of community talking to random Larry Bob who is retiring after a 20-year commitment to the military and doesn't know who he is as a person. That's pretty cool, being kind and just talking with people. So like a YouTuber and a podcaster and a gym rat and a bookworm and who knows what's coming next. I don't want to spoil anything, but I do, like I said, want to expand the Aurelia show to more than a podcast space um, to really connect with you all and show you and embody what I'm trying to get at here rather than just talking about it and just saying, all right, you guys go do all the hard work and I'll just sit back here and enjoy myself. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of our topic today. I hope part of it resonated with you all. I really, really, really do because I think this is so important and I preach it in my daily life. And I think that's why a lot of people flock to the internet because they do see video games as a space where they can reinvent themselves, but they don't actually have to work on themselves. And I think that that is the danger of just inserting yourself into the virtual space and not and then letting your real body and real selves like rot essentially and not growing and nourishing yourself as a person. It's a lot easier to plop yourself into a World of Warcraft tune or Final Fantasy or insert whatever, especially MMORPGs. Those are the scariest because you literally don't have to exist in reality anymore. You can just harness skills and level up yourself in a fake space and then ignore everything you're doing in real life, which is the beauty. It's a good escapism. It's good art of escaping reality, but it is also very, very dangerous and let the stories resonate with you, let them connect with you, whether you connect with Ellie from The Last of Us, Kratos from God of War, your character in Mass Effect, whatever stories come to mind that you love and love and love, let you also take care of your main character in reality and live up to your own potential as well. As always, thank you all so much for listening to today's episode. I thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for being here with me with whatever content I'm working on at the time, or if we're just sitting down and having a chat. Thank you so much. Make sure you share this podcast with anyone who you think this topic would resonate with. I try to keep them pretty pretty motivational right now, it seems, to try to keep a broad reach of just things that I genuinely care about and am passionate about. We'll see where the show expands from here, and I will see you guys in the next episode. See ya.